Draft rumors this morning. The rumor is 3 teams have called the Chargers about that number 5 overall pick. I've been told the Chargers want to move down. Here's my 3 big takes tonight. Number 1, Arizona has 11 picks, 2 in the first and 3 in the third. They're going to win the draft. They're going to get the most good players. And the reason the draft tonight is going to get bigger ratings, if you take their TV ratings on the 2 networks it's on, than any NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL regular season game, and some of those playoff games in those sports, is Arizona. Arizona does what happens to 1 or 2 or 3 teams a year. You change your entire franchise, right? 6 or 7 of those draft picks out of 11 become starters. 4 or 5 are really good starters. And remember, Houston did this last year, and they went into a draft without a quarterback yet. So Arizona's got all these picks, all these premium picks, and they've got a star quarterback. So I think Arizona wins the draft. They'll come out of the weekend the most improved team. My second take is the most fascinating team will be the Chargers. They want to move down. That's why Jim Harbaugh has been on this. J.J. McCarthy's the best quarterback in the draft. He wants people to believe that because he wants more of a frenzy in the top 5 picks so he can move down and improve his team. So he's trying to create urgency. Harbaugh also may select several Michigan players. They want to move down, I'm told. I'm not sure they'll get a taker. I think New England probably gets a taker at 3, but I think they'll be the most fascinating team. And finally, the Chicago Bears will make the discussion last for 20 years. 20 years from now, there's a possibility the only draft we talk about of all these teams drafting tonight, my guess is the Chicago Bears. It's hard to explain how inept they have been offensively. They have never had a quarterback throw for 4,000 yards. How is that possible? They've never had a quarterback, not one, throw for 30 touchdowns in a season. The Packers have done that 18 times with 4 different quarterbacks. The Chicago Bears butcher quarterback like rock stars trashed hotel rooms in the 80s. They just can't get it right. Even when they draft talented people, they screw it up. But this Chicago team is different. The general manager is a former player. He's had a great last year. They have good wide receivers, 2 of them. Good tight ends, 2 of them. A nice running back who can catch the ball in the offensive line. Ryan Poles, the GM's a former offensive lineman. It's a pretty interesting young offensive line. And this is the draft. Hard to screw it up. Best quarterback talent, arguably, since Josh Allen or Andrew Luck. And the Bears have Carolina's pick, so they have number 1, and they're going to take Caleb Williams, a guy who doesn't throw interceptions and scores a lot of touchdowns. And behind bad old lines with 1 receiver of note, Jordan Addison, now a Viking, they led the nation in offense the last 2 years. So this is my take. Arizona comes out of the weekend the most improved team. The Chargers draft, they furiously want to move down, will be the most fascinating and the most historic for an NFL historic franchise will be the Chicago Bears. I think they finally get quarterback right, and even they won't screw it up. Draft tonight. Can't wait. One NBA story worth talking about today. Not sure if you watched it, but the Celtics, and this has become sort of a regular thing, lost at home again in the playoffs. They are 6-7 at home last 2 years. Ask yourself a question for all those who push back on my cynicism. Maybe that's too strident a word, but my questions about the Celtics. Ask yourself this. Name the last great NBA champion that was bad at home in the playoffs. Now, Miami was absurdly hot. Miami shot 44 threes and hit 23 of them. Over 53%. That's insane. Won't happen again. An all-time playoff shooting night. But it's sort of a theme now, isn't it? This great Celtic team loses a home playoff game and or Jason Tatum can shrink late in games. One of those 2 things happen, sometimes both, with sort of regularity. And here's the thing with the Celtics. Be totally honest. There's nothing to fear about the Celtics. MJ and the Bulls' physicality, intimidating. Shaq coming downhill, intimidating. That blizzard of talent with the Miami Heat, LeBron and D-Wade in their prime, intimidating. There have been a lot of teams you fear. Steph, Clay, KD embarrassing you with an onslaught of threes, blowing you out in the playoffs by 30. Fear. The Celtics? Well, they're deep. Nobody fears the Celtics. Nobody's afraid to go into the Garden. Certainly not Miami. In fact, I would argue that Miami creates fear. Playoff, Jimmy. Heat cultures on the jerseys. More than a slogan, it's who they are. Will Spoelstra outcoach your coach late in games? There's a lot to fear about Miami. Nobody wants to play Miami in the playoffs. Yet last night, after beating the Celtics in Boston, Jimmy Butler is trolling the Celtics. Got an Instagram post showing him in a Celtic jersey. Says, "Don't let us get one." You do not troll Mike Tyson in his prime. And if all these good NBA teams were heavyweight fighters, the Celtics feel more like Larry Holmes than Tyson. They'll jab you, but the knockout punches, not that memorable. I don't know. Fear is supposed to be a real thing with great teams. I mean, the Spurs may have been boring, but they would mechanically and efficiently wear you out. LeBron, D-Wade in their prime, watch out. Steph, Clay, KD, Shaq downhill, Kobe on the perimeter. MJ's relentlessness, the Bulls' length and defense, Phil Jackson's coaching. Who fears the Celtics? They're not even good at home. I mean, really, now the pressure's all on Boston. Miami has home court, and Miami has the better coach. Go look at the past 4 postseasons. Celtics are like hovering around 500, under 500 at home. That's not the way it works. Shaq and Kobe, D-Wade, LeBron, MJ's Bulls. I mean, they'd lose an occasional home game. You didn't want to go into that building. It was an L. Almost always an L. Boston, it's a coin flip. And now the pressure's all on the Celtics, all of it. Home court advantage Miami, better coach Miami. Again, the Eastern Conference is so weak. As they roll through it, it's almost like college football. If you play in a weaker conference like Clemson for years and you roll over everybody, and if you come from a stronger conference, the Big Ten or the SEC, you kind of look at, are we overvaluing, and we do this, we overvalue teams from weaker conferences who bully ball teams all regular season. Once again, Boston, all the pressure, losing home court advantage. I don't like to say cynicism because I do think Boston should roll through the East, but it is hard to explain. Does anybody fear the Celtics? And what would you fear about them? They're deep. That's not really something. You generally fear a relentless player. Jokic, an unstoppable player. Efficiency, maniacal, tough, physical. I'll tell you a team that worries me. I wouldn't want to play the Knicks. They got nothing to lose. House money. Nobody plays harder than the Knicks. They're winning and Jalen Brunson's playing poorly. What do you fear about the Celtics? They got talent. It's the NBA. So's OKC. So's Minnesota. Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.